Hi, welcome to another travel video by Gary Rose Travels. Now please hit like and subscribe for more videos, and also visit Gary Rose Travels on Facebook, and also visit GaryRoseTravels.com for all the best budget backpacker advice. Now this is the final video in my India travel guide to the Northeast, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the daily budget you will need for the Northeast, and also how to be a responsible backpacker when travelling in the Northeast. So first things first, daily budget. I recommend that you will need a daily budget to be comfortable in the Northeast and to travel around. You will need a daily budget of 3,150 rupees. So what I've done is I've increased your recommended daily budget of 1,000 rupees. Now if you're not sure on the recommended daily budget I set out, then you can find that in my budget 2019 posts and also my budget 2019 video series on YouTube. So if you're wondering all about daily budget, what it is, that's where you can find it. You'll find that some accommodation in the Northeast is quite expensive. At some point you will end up having to pay out for a private transport. This is mainly, for the accommodation, it's mainly because their clientele are domestic tourists who don't mind paying out. Budget backpacking and budget travelling is something that Indians generally don't really do that much. They like to spend out, they like to go for short holidays and spend a lot of money, whereas Westerners like to go for long holidays and spend a little bit of money. You can find out more budget accommodation advice and hints and tips in my previous videos, so do please check those out. I'll be giving you some great recommendations for low cost accommodation. However, sometimes you will need to spend your full daily budget of 3,150. Obviously on the days you don't spend, to save that money, because you can put it towards perhaps a private jeep or perhaps activities. So that is a recommended budget. Now, for being a responsible tourist, this is something which is very close to our hearts because it's something that we always try and adhere to. Now, when we visit, we're not going to lie, when we visit the Northeast, the reason that we head up there is because the tribal cultures are so intact and so raw and in your face, and we absolutely love it. We find that you can't find these type of cultures anywhere else in India. There's a reason that they are intact, is because they don't actually see many Westerners. Not many Westerners make it up there, so the ones who do are in for a real treat. It's always important to leave a positive impression with people because, as I said, they don't often see a lot of Westerners. Now, a few years ago, the Lonely Planet featured a little tiny guest house which was located on the bottom of the rainforest valley floor in Cherrapunji. This is where the steps go down, 2,000 steps at the bottom of there, 2 hours trek. There was a tiny little village at the bottom. Now, you were able to stay in this village a few years ago because the Kasi people who lived in the village were very kind-hearted, they were very welcoming, they were absolutely wonderful people, and they opened up their tiny guest house to a few Westerners who made it down there. Now, when we headed down there, the guest house was full, so a very kind lady, she let us stay in her home. She didn't want any money, she fed us, she didn't want anything for it, she was just doing it to be kind. Now, in return, we paid, we gave her some money, but also we sat and we chatted to her kids who spoke a little bit of English. We invested our time into them. We let their kids, we gave them some money, and they were guides for us. We spread our wealth throughout the village. We bought local honey, we bought biscuit, we bought water. Then we did stay in the guest house. So most people who had something to do with tourists got a little bit of our money, which was really positive. So all the money didn't just go to one business. We tried to spread our wealth, we tried to spread our time as well, because we were a bit of a novelty in the village. People wanted to talk to us, and we just sat and spoke with them and learned about their life, and they learned about ours, which was a really positive, lovely thing to do. So we had a great time. However, a few years ago we headed back again, and we were absolutely disgusted to see the behaviour of the tourists who had made it down there. Now, the village, I'm going to say, it had been overrun with Westerners, with tourists who were looking for cheap accommodation, a cheap place away from police to smoke drugs and drink beer and act in a really inappropriate manner. The kind Cassie people who were down there, the ones who were remaining, were no longer kind. They were extremely bitter, they were extremely resentful of the tourists who had gone down there. The guest house itself, the tiny guest house that they worked so hard to build, had been burnt down. There's still speculation surrounding as to why or how that happened. Some people speculate that it was burnt down on purpose to deter any more tourists, because they had literally trashed the village, and it was really heartbreaking to see, because the whole area was so pristine and so beautiful, and by the time the tourists had got down there, it was just covered in litter and drink and drugs, and it was absolutely disgusting. So for us, this was really heartbreaking for what we saw. Since then, the Lonely Planet guide has removed the tiny village and the fact that you can go down there from its guidebook, but however, the damage has already been done. Now, not all tribes people in the northeast are as kind as the Cassie. You will know this if you head up to Nagaland. Now, some people in Nagaland are kind and welcoming and were quite happy to have us there, whereas the vast majority were not overly kind, and I can only presume this is because of that. They will absolutely not stand for that kind of behaviour. They're a very different mentality of people, so if you do head up to Nagaland and you start acting like that, I can only presume that you will not be staying in their village for very long, whereas the Cassie are much more gentle, much more kind, much more hospitable people. So sadly, they were taken for granted, I'm afraid. So you do have to make sure whatever impact you have on the tribespeople is a positive one, because the people absolutely do look to Westerners for, they want to find out about our lives, and if you display drink and drugs and inappropriate behaviour, that's kind of all they're going to think of you. So a little bit sad there, unfortunately, to end on a bit of a sad note, but definitely one that needs to be touched upon, because it's something which is very close to our hearts. I hope you've enjoyed this India Travel Northeast series. I hope you've read my post. I hope you've watched my videos. Do please come back next time, because I'll be making a load more videos just for you.